Good morning, students. I, Sadaf Khan from Millennium School, South City, welcome you to this session of chemistry. And in this session, I would be continuing with the Bohr's atomic model. In my previous video, I had already explained you the main postulates of the Bohr's model, where we had said that the electrons revolve around the nucleus in fixed circular paths, which were known as the orbits or the stationary states. And then in the second postulate, we had said that the orbit of the electron does not change unless the energy is added or removed. That is, when an electron absorbs energy, then it jumps from a lower to a higher energy level, and when it loses or emits energy, it jumps from the higher to the lower energy level. Then the third postulate, I told you, it explained the origin of the atomic spectra, and we had seen how the relation delta E is related to hc upon lambda, where delta is the change in the energy, h is the Planck's constant, c is the velocity of light, and lambda is the wavelength. And then with the help of the explanation provided by the theory, we could understand the quantization in the atomic theory, atomic spectra, and how there are only very few fixed values, and that is why the wavelength was also said to be quantized. And the fourth postulate stated that the angular momentum of the electron is also quantized and is an integral multiple of, that is, angular momentum mvr is an integral multiple of h upon 2 pi, where n is an integer 1, 2, 3. Alright, so having explained all this, now I come to the mechanistic details of the Bohr's atomic model, and now I am going to talk of certain quantities, their formulae, and how these formulae are used in the numericals. Alright, so first and foremost, I talk about the Bohr's radius, that is the radius of a shell or a orbit or the energy state. Then the expression which was the expression for the Bohr's radius, that is Rn. N stands for the nth shell, and n is the shell number, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, any, that is R, the radius for the nth shell, is given by the expression h square epsilon 0 epsilon naught upon pi m e square. Alright, into, I have just bracketed this term, I will explain you why, into n square upon z. Now please understand why I have just separately bracketed this. H is a Planck's constant, epsilon naught is another constant. Pi, you all know the value is 22 by 7. M is the mass of the electron, E is the charge on the electron. This is a constant, this is a constant, this is a fixed value, this mass of an electron is a fixed value, charge of an electron is a fixed value. N is the shell number, it could be either the first shell, second shell, third shell, or so on and so forth. And Z is the atomic number of the element. So, out of this entire expression, this was a combination of constants that had fixed values. That is why I had put them separately in this bracket. The only variables were the n, that is the shell number, and the atomic number, that would be the atomic number of the element that we are talking about. So having put this separately and putting the values of the Planck's constant, the constant of epsilon naught 22 upon 7, putting the value of the mass of the electron as 1.9 into 10 to the power minus 31 kgs, and the charge of the electron, you know, it is already worked out in Coulomb. When we substitute all these values in this expression, we get this 0.53. So though you have to learn up these formulae, because now you are in class 11th and you should be able to just broaden the spectrum of your learning. These things should interest you. They should not burden you. You should take an interest. You should try to, the hunger for learning should be there. Alright, so you should just broaden the spectrum of your learning. So this, having said this, but for numerical point of view, you just need to remember this. 0.53 into n square upon z square, where n is the shell number or the orbit, and z is the atomic number. So by this expression, we can calculate the Bohr's radius for a given, for the nth shell that is given. Then we come to the Bohr's velocity, that is the velocity with which an electron is revolving around the nucleus in the nth shell. The velocity with which the electron is revolving in the nth shell. Similarly, as you can see, these terms, E square upon 2h epsilon naught, they are constants. Putting the values, we work it out like this: 2.18 into 10 to the power 6. Z is the atomic number, N is the shell number. So you need to remember this: 2.18 into 10 to the power 6 into Z upon N, and you get the value of the velocity in meters per second, and this is the velocity with which the electron is revolving around the nucleus in the nth shell. Now the total energy with which the electron is revolving, or the total energy possessed by the electron, is equal to the kinetic energy plus the potential energy. Students, these are the terms that have been worked out for kinetic energy and potential energy. You can see over here. Alright, that is 13.6 z square upon n square. Potential energy is minus 2 into 13.6 z square upon n square. When we add them, that is to find out the total energy, we get the expression as minus 13.6 into z square upon n square. Please remember the answer that you get. You know that the SI unit of energy is joules, but here you are getting the answer in electron volts, and this is an important expression you need to learn up, and also the unit, because the interchange of the transformation of the units has to be done while applying it to the numericals. Now why I am saying electron volt is important, because see, you knew that when we were talking about the quantization of the atomic spectra, he had worked out that delta E is equal to hc upon lambda. Now if energy is given to you and you are asked to find out the wavelength emitted, wavelength of the radiation emitted, then what you need to do, you need to put it in this expression. You substitute energy over here. We know the value of the Planck's constant will be, or it would be given in the question. You know the velocity of the light, and we can find out the wavelength. But here the only catch would be that if the energy is given in electron volts, then you need to convert it into joules, because the value of Planck's constant is worked out in joules. So you know that 1 electron volt is equal to 1.602 into 10 to the power minus 19 joules, and this conversion has to be made because the energy was calculated in electron volt. Suppose the energy you calculated was 5 electron volt. So putting the value of energy and changing it into joules, then we can substitute it in and find out the value of wavelength. But this makes the calculation slightly long, so we can just solve this expression. I am not going into the details of how I got to it. I am just solving this expression, that is hc upon this, and we get to a very short and a simple formula to learn, that is energy is equal to 12375 upon lambda, or lambda is equal to 12375 upon E, and you find it out in angstrom. So directly you can calculate the wavelength from this. There would be no conversion involved. That is, you need not convert electron volts into joules, or you need not multiply it by 1.602 into 10 to the power minus 19. You just substitute the value of energy that you have calculated. That is, if you have calculated in electron volts, you just put electron volts 12375 upon 5 electron volt, and you will get the value of the wavelength. Now these formulae that I have just discussed, that is the Bohr's radius, the Bohr's velocity, the total energy, they are all important formulae, and they are most of the times numericals are asked on these questions. I am just giving you a few examples, and I encourage you to go through these examples and try to solve the numericals that are given at the back of your NCERT. You should be able to do it on your own. So for example, if you are asked to find the radius of the second shell of the hydrogen atom, we know that the formula for radius of the nth shell is 0.53 into n square upon z. For hydrogen atom, atomic number is 1. The shell that is given in the question is 2, n equals to 2. So just simply substituting the value for r in the second shell, of r in the second shell, 0.53 into n square, n is given as 2 in the question itself. You can see second shell over here, 2 square upon 1, and just solve it, you get the answer in angstrom. So it is simple. If you are given for the third shell, you can substitute 3 square, that is 6, and then divided by the atomic number. If you are given the first shell, but you should know the shell number and the atomic number, and just simply substitute it in this formula. Then similarly, how will you calculate the speed of the electron in the second orbit or the second shell of the hydrogen atom? Very simple. V in the second shell would be, you know, the expression for velocity was 2 point. That is why I am telling you that these formulae are important and you should learn them up. 2.18 into 10 to the power 6 into z upon n, where z is the atomic number and for hydrogen it is 1. N is the shell number and it is given 2 in the question. So I substituted in this formula 2.18 into 10 to the power 6 into 1 by 2 and solve it to get the velocity in meters per second. Again, if we have to find out the total energy of the electron in the second shell of the hydrogen atom, You saw the expression of total energy that I just discussed it, minus 13.6 into Z square upon N square. The Z for hydrogen is 1. We are talking about the second shell. So minus 13.6 into 1 upon 2 square. And when we solve it, we get the value as minus 3.4 electron volts. Students, now you can just calculate it for the different shells for hydrogen atom, first shell, second shell, third shell and fourth shell, and that is why I am just giving you it as an homework or an IP exercise, and I need you to write down the values that I am asking you in this question. That is, find out the total energy of the electron in the first, second, third and the fourth shell of the hydrogen atom. So what you need to do is you have to find out the total energy in these respective shells. And also you have to comment whether the energy is increasing or decreasing as you move away from the nucleus. Having watched the video, I give you 1 day to solve this and send it back to me. So what you do is you will just use this expression for total energy and you will calculate it separately for the first shell, putting the value of N as 1, for the second shell putting the value of N as 2, for the third shell putting the value of N as 3, and for the fourth shell putting the value of N as 4. Z would be the same in all the cases because we are talking of the hydrogen atom, that is 1. After calculating the energy, the second part of the question is important, and when you will send me the answers, then I will tell you why it is important. Now the last thing that, and a very very important formula that I am going to talk about is in this video, is the Rydberg's equation. Alright, Rydberg's equation again talks of the change in energy. You know that the change in energy when an electron jumps from one shell to another, that is delta E. Delta represents the change in energy. The electron is jumping from one shell to another would be given by the difference in the energy in the two shells, that is E2 minus E1. Energy in the second shell minus the energy in the first shell. Alright, delta E, we knew that delta E is equal to Hc upon lambda, so I put Hc upon lambda. Energy, you know, we can with this expression, energy in the N2 shell minus 13.6 Z square upon N square. Then E2, this would be E2 minus I put E1. E1 would be, again I am putting minus over here because the expression for total energy is minus 13.6 Z square upon N square. So minus 13.6 Z square upon N square. When we simplify this, we get a very very simple expression as 1 upon lambda is equal to Rz square 1 upon N1 square minus 1 upon N2 square. 1 upon N1 square minus 1 upon N2 square. This expression is known as the Rydberg's equation. This is known as the Rydberg's equation, where R, as you can see, R appears over here as a new constant known as the Rydberg's constant. The value is given over here, and most of the time if you forget the value, need not worry, it is given in the question. This is the value of the Rydberg's constant, and this expression is known as the Rydberg's equation, and from the Rydberg's equation you can find the reciprocal of the wavelength, or the reciprocal of the inverse of the wavelength is known as wave number. You know that 1 upon lambda is equal to wave number, and wave number is denoted as nu with a bar. Alright, so the Rydberg's equation gives us the wave number or the reciprocal of the wavelength, and by a very simple formula we can calculate that. So this is all for today's video, and now I will continue with another question in my next video. Again, students, I repeat, you need to be viewing the videos very very carefully. Once or twice you should view a video at least twice, so that you understand each and every concept. Please don't panic, they are very heavy concepts for you. I know in the beginning when you are just new to class 11th, but nevertheless, if you will keep yourself alert, punctual in the class, and punctual with the videos that I am sending you, like you're not piling up the videos, you are not viewing 5-6 videos in one go. One by one if you will go, all the concepts will be clear, and in case of any doubt, I have always encouraged you to send me your queries. I'll be happy to answer them. Then we'll continue in our next video. Thank you, students.